Assalamu alaikum dear students, hope all of you are fine. Welcome to your history class. Dear students, as you know that we have been doing the problems that Pakistan faced right after the partition. So far we have discussed that Pakistan faced geographical problems, political problems, economic problems, social problems, and it also had to face the unjust division of Red Cliff Award. And the problem of accession of the princely states has also been discussed in the previous lesson. In today's lesson, we are going to particularly talk about the division of financial and military assets between India and Pakistan. And we are also going to discuss the canal water dispute. So let's get started. First of all, we will talk about the division of financial assets, right? Because India was bigger in size and because it had a greater population than that of Pakistan, so it was finally agreed to by the British government that financial assets would be divided with the ratio of 17:5. 17 parts would be given to India and 5% of the ratio of 5 would be given to Pakistan. And this division was made based on the size and population of the two countries. But India, as you know, showed rascality on various matters. So in this matter also, it took an unprincipled stance. First 200 million rupees were paid immediately, but the rest of the 500 million rupees were paid after great reluctance. And as you know that in Kashmir dispute was discussed that in 1948 a war broke out between India and Pakistan over Kashmir issue. So India was not ready to hand over 550 million rupees to Pakistan, and it took the stance that Pakistan would purchase armed and ammunition from these rupees, which would be used eventually against India. So it refused to pay 550 million rupees, and it hoped that it will make Pakistan a bankrupt state. Pakistan would no longer exist and it would merge into India. It hoped at that stage. But fortunately, Pakistan army fought very bravely, and nothing of that kind happened. Nothing of that, their plans did not, their wishes did not come true. So India took a very vicious stance against Pakistan. And when it comes to military assets, the armed artillery and infantry divisions were made based on the ratio of 6:14, 8:40 and 8:21 respectively. And in the beginning, unfortunately and sadly, British were reluctant to divide the armed assets, military assets between India and Pakistan. But later they had to agree to make divisions. And India took a larger share of both the military assets and military personnels. And it should be kept in mind that there were 16 ordnance factories in the joint India. And these factories were making military goods. And all these 16 ordnance factories were in India. And Pakistan had not a single ordnance factory at that time. So, and India refused to give any ordnance factory to Pakistan. So consequently, as a result, Pakistan was not capable of making military goods. And it was agreed that India would pay 60 million rupees in place of ordnance factories to Pakistan. And when India paid that 60 million rupees to Pakistan, Pakistan built an ordnance factory at Wah. And whatever goods were provided to Pakistan were often old and damaged. And therefore, in 1947, Pakistan had an under-resourced military force. It lacked expert military officers, it lacked armed personnel and soldiers, and it lacked armed equipments. So you see, Pakistan started off with a very miserable condition, very miserable financial and military, social and economic condition. But the spirits were very high. The spirits of Pakistani people, Pakistani nation was very high, and they eventually overcome all the difficulties under the leadership of our great Qaid-e-Azam, and now it stands very prominent in the international community, and we are proud of that. Now let's talk about the canal water dispute. See, Pakistan's economy based on agriculture. Pakistan's economy is an agricultural based economy, and its agriculture depends on water resources. So a system of irrigation, which is considered as one of the world's best irrigation system, existed in India and Pakistan. So this irrigation system comprises of canals and rivers, and unfortunately all the headworks of these canals were in East Punjab, that was now in India. And India again showed an unprincipled attitude, a kind of rascal attitude, you see, and a dispute over canals arose between these two countries, and India refused to give a share of water to Pakistan. India claimed that because the headworks are in India, that is why India had complete right to do whatever it wanted with the water. It is India's choice whether it is willing to give the water resources to Pakistan or not. But you see, Pakistan argued that Pakistan has a right to water because its economy depended upon it, and Pakistan also wanted to settle this dispute by referring it to the International Court of Justice. But India refused to comply to Pakistan's request. In 1948, however, a temporary agreement was reached upon, and India agreed to allow water from East Pakistan to flow into West Pakistan. But this agreement was soon sabotaged, and the water problem was one of the biggest problems that this new nascent country has to face. And Qaid-e-Azam was the one who wanted to resolve this issue, but he died in 1948, and this issue remained unresolved for a longer period of time. And the later governments tried to resolve it, and there were various agreements in the future. We will talk about those agreements in the coming lectures. But for now, that is all for now. Hope you understood. Now, students, I want you to go through page number 114 and 115 so that you can understand this topic properly. And if you have any problems, you are more than welcome to put forward your queries. That's all. Have a nice day. Goodbye.